How's it going, everybody? CJ here. Back in another video. We're doing another first thoughts today. This first thoughts is on Willowdusk Essence Seer. Before we hop into it, remember, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Like this video. Comment down below what you're doing with Willowdusk. I would love to hear it. Let me know if I missed anything cool that you found. We got Twitch and we got Twitter down below. We got Discord down below if you want to chat with us in the Discord. If you want to support the channel, we got the Patreon down below and the TCG player affiliate link. Click on that. Buy your cards through there. Helps out the channel. And the Pokemon channel. I got new Pokemon channel. Choose my starter. Down below. Do that. And let's hop into this. So, Willowdusk Essence Seer. When I first saw this commander, I looked at it and I said, okay, tap, that's downside. Another target, no commander damage. And activate only as a sorcery. I didn't want to, this is a card that I was just going to wait to do for a while. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to see if I can find anything cool with this. And as I went into it, it's got much cooler. There's a lot of interesting things you can do. There's a lot of cool combos. There's a really cool combo that I came up with that requires a lot of deck building, but seems like it could be a lot of fun. And this deck seems very cool. And I think that there's actually some cool strategies you can go with this. But I did not find much in the terms of life gain, because life gain's kind of boring. I mean, you can just play all those little life gain cards, and you can take advantage of this commander much easier when you're using life loss than life gain, just because you can use life loss as a detriment to you for a plus side, and it ends up being a bigger plus side. Well, life gain, you're just going to be slowly ticking up because it's already a positive thing, if that makes sense. They couldn't find any crazy synergies with life gain, but I found some really, really cool ones with life loss. So we're going to hop into this talking almost entirely about life loss. There's a little bit of life gain, but it's incidental. So, with some of the best cards for this deck are going to be cards that you can really control how much life you're losing, just easily. And so cards that are really good for this, there's Necropotence, there's Ad Nauseam. Both those are fantastic. You got Bolas' Citadel, just being able to cast stuff on the top of your library, then get a ton of counters. Quirks on a Yawgmoth, good way to just reduce the cost of things while making you lose life. Doom Whisperer, literally just activate it to lose life. Plunge into Darkness, you cast it and you lose as much life as you want to lose, and be able to find a good card off the top, 30 cards in your library or whatever you want to do. You got Wall of Blood, just pay life to make this thing bigger and bigger and bigger. Unspeakable Symbol, you pay life to put counters on things. And Hatred, you pay life to give a creature plus X plus 0 until end of turn, where X is the amount of life you paid. So all those are great ways to really just lose life in a hurry, and to be able to really control how much life you're going to lose. It's really nice. It's a good little center. Those cards are very important for this deck, I think. I think they're key cards for this deck. And you can also use some incidental life loss stuff. I'm literally only talking about the life loss, because life gain just seems boring. But we got Bitter Blossom, we got Phyrexian Arena, and we got Dreadhorde Invasion, which all seem pretty good. Plus, Dreadhorde Invasion can make a token with lifelink, which is really good. So the token gets lifelink when it gets big enough. And lifelink is a very, actually, good thing in this deck, even if you're going for life loss, because you can, Necropotence for 30, put 30 counters on something with lifelink, like your army token, Dreadhorde Invasion will give it lifelink, swing with it, get all that life back. That's a very important synergy. So I did have a little list of lifelink creatures here. The lifelink creatures that I'm mentioning here are all creatures that have, I think they all actually have flying, but I try to just find creatures with evasion and lifelink. And so we got Daggerdrome Imp, Eradicator Valkyrie, Ghastly Gloom Hunter, Insatiable Harpy, Nighthawk Scavenger, Vampire Nighthawk, Sadistic Sky Marcher, Torbrax, Hope's Desire, and Haunt of Hightower. All of these have or get lifelink depending on how big they are. And they also have flying, so that way you can just load up all your counters on an invasive creature. You're going to have at least one opponent that does not have a flying creature in play, and you just alpha strike them. Like, lose 30 life, hit them for 30 whatever, gain all that life back, do it again next turn. Seems pretty good to me. You can also win the game doing this by putting the counters on like infect creatures. So I'm going to mention a few infect. So there's Glistener Elf, which is a good one just because it's a 1/1, so it's really fast. And then there's Skitherix, Putrefax, and Blackcleave Goblin. All of those have haste, so you can play them and immediately attack so your opponents don't expect it. And Putrefax has trample, so that's really nice. But Putrefax does sacrifice at the end of the turn, but I mean, you're going to kill somebody with it before it's gone. Skittles is probably one of the best infect creatures to put in the deck. Even if you're not making this as an infect themed deck, you should probably throw Skittles in there just because it's so powerful with this synergy. But now I'm going to talk about the combo wins. So the first combo that I came up with is you use Ad Nauseam to draw your deck. Basically, this combo requires a lot of specific deck building. So you use Ad Nauseam to draw like almost your entire deck. Like as much of your deck as you possibly can until you hit Devoted Druid. So you're building your deck around being able to Ad Nauseam for almost all of your deck by turn 5. And you're looking to get Devoted Druid. You want to play Devoted Druid, and then after that, so you're looking for Devoted Druid and fast mana and a haste enabler. So you play all your fast mana, you play Devoted Druid, you play Lightning Greaves or a haste enabler, Greaves up the Devoted Druid, and then you tap Willowdusk to put a billion counters on the Devoted Druid, and you're going to be tuning this deck so you specifically can hit high 30s consistently without you dying and without missing on one of the pieces. And so you throw like 35 counters on Devoted Druid, and then you use Devoted Druid, and you play like Torment of Hailfire, X being like 30 something, and just drain all of your opponents and win the game just like that. It seems like a cool combo. You'd fill the rest of the deck out with like cards similar to like there's just like tutors like Vampiric Tutor, Demonic Tutor, any cheap tutors really mana wise, any tutors that are very cheap mana wise you want to throw in this deck. And then just like cheap card draw stuff, just cheap stuff, so that way you can draw through your entire deck to hit your combo pieces and lose enough life that you can win the game. I think it's a cool deck. It's very restrictive deck building, but it seems like a cool idea for a deck. I haven't built an actual list, but I like the idea. Next up, another combo you can do. It involves either Workhorse or Crystalline Crawler. And both of these you can make infinite mana with. Crystalline Crawler is a little better because it's colored mana, but you just equip Sword of the Parents, or use Staff of Domination, or Umbral Mantle, and you just put enough counter, like, as long as you can put for Umbral Mantle, as long as you can put over, like, 4 counters on it a turn, like, you have to have lost 4 or more life in this turn. And then you can tap Willowdusk to put 4 counters on it, and untap Willowdusk by removing 3 counters. Tap Willowdusk, untap, tap, untap. This is with Umbral Mantle. That's the example. And just make infinite mana. And also, you can make your creatures infinitely big. So, seems pretty good. You can do the same combo with Marwyn the Nurturer or Viridian Joiner. Just, instead you're tapping and untapping Marwyn / Viridian Joiner, because you're going to load them up with counters, and enough counters so that way when you tap it, you can untap it in net mana. And another combo that seems to like it would be good in this deck is the Mike and Trike combo. Mikaeus the Unhallowed and Triskelion. Triskelion just seems synergistic because you can load it up with counters and just start pinging. Well, and if you're going to run Triskelion, then you might as well run Mikaeus just so you have the combo win right there. Seems like a good include. And some other cards that I wanted to mention. You got Wound Reflection and Archfiend of Despair. So if you hit someone for 20, then it ends up being 40. So that way you don't need to go as deep on your life total. Walking Ballista, same reason for Triskelion. Spike Feeder, it's an interesting card here because you can kind of combo with it. You remove a counter to gain 2 life. So, like one turn you can load like. It's interesting. Trying to think about the best way to describe it because it's an interesting. So like you load up with counters the turn before. Next turn you remove a counter, gain 2 life. Remove a counter, gain 2 life. Remove a counter, gain 2 life. Remove all the counters, gain 2 life for each of them. Tap Willowdusk, and then you can just basically double the number of counters that you had on it while gaining a ton of life. It seems like a very good card in the deck, and it just has a very strong synergy. You got Mindless Automaton, so that way you can draw cards off these counters. You got Rite of Consumption, which seems very good in this deck, because you can just load all the counters up onto a creature, Rite of Consumption to basically fling it at an opponent, and then you gain life equal to the amount of damage done. So, just seems beautiful in the deck. You got Dying Wish, which is pretty much the same thing, except it doesn't kill this creature itself. Like, you're going to need to kill the creature or somebody else is going to have to. And then you got Gerard. Gerard is fun for this. So I have a Gerard deck myself that's all about just basically flinging my creatures at my opponents. And Gerard works really well in this deck because you're going to make big creatures, so you might as well sacrifice them to hit your opponents down. Another card that I saw somebody mention this on Reddit being Aetherflux Reservoir, which is an interesting card in this deck. Like, this one definitely requires you to be more in the life gain mode. But if you're in life gain mode and you gain over 50 life, you can Aetherflux Reservoir somebody, lose 50 life, then activate Willowdusk. So you kill somebody, activate Willowdusk, make a creature plus 50 counters on it, kill somebody with that. It seems like a cool interaction. It's a good card in the deck. You got creatures that are unblockable. That's obvious, like similar to the Flyers. Unblockable creatures seem good. So, like Changeling Outcast seems like a good include in this deck. You can throw in Illusionist Bracers, Lithoform Engine, and Rings of Brighthearth. So that way you can copy the triggers. So that way you get twice as many counters. Seems pretty good. You can also throw in like the Ozoliths. So that way you can keep the counters around. You can double the counters with Doubling Season or Primal Vigor, or why can't I think of the name? I didn't actually write down much at all about plus and counter synergies in this, and I realize now I definitely should have. But you can also double the counters with that the card that's, well, Corpse Jack Menace for one, but also the card from Jumpstart. I can't remember the name, but it's on the screen. Like, there's a lot of counter synergies that you can throw into this deck that I did not even consider until just now. Like, yeah, I mean, you can do a plus and counter deck with this and throw in, like, any of this stuff that I just mentioned. There's a lot of counter synergies you can do, but I like this deck more as a one-shotter, combo-y, make big creature real quick thing. Last thing I want to mention is Exquisite Blood. Kind of makes it so all your creatures have lifelink. It makes so if you hit your opponent with one of your big creatures and you'll gain that much life, and that seems pretty good. Or anytime your opponent loses life, actually, so that means like Rite of Consumption will gain you double life. It seems good in the deck, and if you're gonna run it, you might as well run Sanguine Bond as well because infinite combo. So this is gonna actually end up being a pretty combo heavy deck, I would think. Especially if you lean into it in this fashion. You could also lean into it in the life gain fashion, which is going to be less combo-y, But I mean, still would want to run Exquisite Blood Sanguine Bond. And probably a couple of the other ones. Probably most of the other combos as well, but it's just a slower deck, I think. And not as you won't get the super synergistic cards like Necropotence and Ad Nauseam. But you could also build a deck more counter based, which I didn't really think much about. But counters would have to be a sub theme because you need a way to initiate the counters being life gain or life loss. I think life loss with a small counter sub theme might be the way to go, but I like the combo side of it, and I really like the Ad Nauseam for Devoted Druid and Fast Mana and Haste Enabler combo, because that seems like a lot of fun. And so, yeah, that's what I've got for Willowdusk Essence Seer. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out, everybody.